So the key is, what do the financial centers want? In the 1960s, I was the balance of payments analyst for Chase Manhattan Bank, and my job was to calculate how much Argentina, Chile, Brazil could borrow. We calculated how much they could export, how much they could earn in foreign exchange, and the idea was their entire economic surplus could be spent on debt service to Chase and other banks. So the answer is the financial planning wants all of the economic surplus to be paid as interest on foreign debt. Now, what happens when this strips an economy and makes it unable to pay? Well, at that point, finance goes into the second stage, and that's the neoliberal stage. And I think it's best to think as finance is the new mode of warfare. The financial sector wants exactly what a military invasion wanted in the past. They want your land, they want your raw materials, they want your gas rights, and they want your public utilities. So this is the foreclosure phase. They want to lend you enough money so that the governments cannot pay. And then when the governments cannot pay, they want you to privatize the public domain, turn it over to the financial sector, and was explained earlier, once you privatize the public utilities, the government not only loses them, it loses the revenue from them. Now, the question is, how does it get countries to go along with this? If you waged a military war, people would fight back. How do you prevent a country from fighting back against the financial warfare that's in them today? Well, the answer, I think you find from biological parasitism. Many people have called finance a parasite for hundreds of years, but it's not simply that the parasite takes the blood and the income from the host. To do that, it takes over the host's brain. The parasite biologically has an enzyme, and it makes the host believe the parasite is part of the body and has to be nurtured, and that's what finance does. The prime center of neoliberal economics is that all debts can be paid, and that paying a foreign debt doesn't cause any problem at all. Later, the neoclassical economists had yet another theory that all debts can be paid, foreign debts. All you have to do is devalue enough so the price of labor will go down. When a country is devalued, there's a common world price for gas, for raw materials, for capital goods. When you devalue a country, what is reduced is the price of labor. So all of the economic models that are taught in the universities and are applied by the International Monetary Fund are basically an anti-labor theory. The idea that when a country has difficulty paying the debts, labor should be reduced. And they have very complicated mathematics. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you how international trade theory is taught in the schools because it's so silly. I believe you wouldn't believe me. But it's been proposed today. But what is, and the Bank for International Settlements now is a meeting place for the world central banks, which basically are representing their constituency, the commercial banks, whose philosophy, again, is an anti-labor philosophy, that all you have to do is reduce the price of labor. Now, the alternative to this theory was developed long before Adam Smith. The mercantilists in the 18th century, James Stewart, Hosea Tucker, pointed out that in order to raise labor productivity, you needed wages to rise, and that there was a positive feedback between productivity and wages. They also said when wages go down, there's an emigration, and the population goes down. So already in the 18th century, there was a very clear understanding that paying foreign debt service, at that point mainly to bondholders that held war debts, were going to have to suffer emigration, and they developed basically a theory that rising wages was the way to lower the price of exports and to be competitive. This was a theory that underlay American development after the Civil War. Again, they're saying exactly the opposite to the rest of the countries than what they actually did. Economic philosophy. It needs to be an international organization based on the principle that no country should have to pay foreign debt to the point of destroying its economy, reducing its labor force, parting with its basic assets and its national patrimony. This, as pointed out earlier, is a principle of international law. Fact is that international lending, much like banks in the United States, do not lend for capital formation. They don't lend to invest in new plant and equipment or for new hiring. Almost all of this is done by retained earnings or by stocks. Banks lend to transfer ownership of property that's in existence. 80% of bank loans in America, and I think in Europe too, are mortgage loans to transfer ownership of real estate.